All right, y'all. What's going on, man? This is your boy EJ coming back with Dudes Talk Sports, bringing y'all another episode, man. There's a lot going on in the world of the NBA. So, with all that being said, I think we should just get straight into this pod, man. Once again, if you guys like today's episode, be sure to like, leave a sub, share this with all your friends. And with all that being said, man, hope y'all had a good weekend. Obviously, it was Easter, 420. Whatever festivities you guys are into, man, hope y'all lived it up to the fullest. And while y'all was doing that, I'm hoping that you guys tuned in to all these fire NBA games. Because, man, this was a good weekend of NBA games, boys. This is NBA playoffs, man. Like, if at this point, if you weren't tuning into the like during the season, and you still not tuning in now, are you even a sports fan? Are you even an NBA fan? Are you even a fan of your sports team? I mean, obviously, if your team's not in the playoffs, sucks to suck. Better luck next year. Maybe y'all gotta tap in with the better head coach or whatnot. There's a lot of things going on in the NBA world, so maybe you trade for a superstar player. But with all that being said, I think we'll stick to the teams that are still in the playoffs. Starting with Lakers and Timberwolves, man. Listen, y'all. The number six Timberwolves dominated the number three Lakers in LA, jumping to an early lead and never relinquishing it. With a 27-point advantage at one point, McDaniels emerged as a standout, earning the moniker Jaden McDaniels game. With efficient scoring, 11 for 13 field goal, 3 for 3 3-point, and 9 rebounds. Edwards complimented him with 22 points and 9 assists, while Reed's 23 points added depth. Despite Doncic's 37 points in his playoff debut, the Lakers were burned inside and struggled defensively, allowing Minnesota to shoot 51.2% in the field goal and 50% in three-point. LeBron and Doncic faced criticism for failing to match Minnesota's intensity, with James scoring 19 but turning the ball over 4 times, raising questions about LA's cohesion, man. And I guess that leads to the question, are the Lakers in trouble? Which, first, I gotta say, props to Minnesota, man, because let me tell you something. Leading up to this game, everybody was picking the Lakers. And they were honestly asked about that. Ant was asked about that. He's like, oh, everybody's really talking about the Lakers, huh? That's good. That's what they should be going, man. That's motivation. And on top of that, there was a quote, bro, where we got to go back regarding what's his name, um, Jaden McDaniels. They're like, I think it was during the Suns game. They say, what was it? Ant goes, they got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels. He might have been cooking with that because Jaden McDaniels was pretty nice this game. I gotta say for myself. Listen, and you can't forget, Dante DiVincenzo kind of putting up that nice little flicker to start end off the half. Man, that was great momentum for the Timberwolves. Like, honestly, this was just one of those games where the Lakers just weren't it. It was not LeBron's day for sure. And Luca, even though he scored, like kind of like what we were saying, bro, defensively it was just all bad. Like, the one thing I'll say about the Timberwolves is they made the Lakers play their game, you know, and you got to give props to scheming and whatnot. And granted, this is JJ Redick's debut in the playoffs, first year and whatnot. So there's gonna be a lot of growing pains, during this time. But it all leads back to the question is, the adjustments that need to be made because when you got somebody like Ant on the roster, and honestly, just I think that whole Minnesota core, you got Julius Randle too. You gotta forget, man. Like this was one of those things where Randle was he had a nice little game, man. Wasn't crazy like that, but you gotta remember all the criticism, all the lack that Randall got from years prior. Like, oh, this is a guy that doesn't show up. He's had those injuries in the past, and so seeing him actually, show up during the playoffs was really nice. And I think this is gonna be really great momentum heading into Game Two today. And I think some notes for the Lakers is You're gonna have to make adjustments. You're gonna have to lock down on defense. Maybe the matchups are just aren't that great right now, and you know what I'm saying. You need somebody other than Luca to drop 37, right? LeBron had 19, Reeves had 16, Rui had 9 points, and so having 39.8% on the field goal versus 36.6% on 3 point with 38 rebounds but 13 turnovers. Listen, man, those turnovers, you got to limit them because when you have the Timberwolves capitalizing off those turnovers, it's just really just honestly the Lakers just biting themselves in the foot, really. Like when it comes down to it, you know what this Lakers team is capable of. There's a reason that the Lakers were being chosen as favorites heading into this game because based on their potential and what they have shown in other games, it's they can be scary. But the main question is you got to stop beating into your own head, man, because clearly in this game that's what happened and the Timberwolves got into their head and dictated and just controlled the whole game from start to finish if I'm being quite honest, man. Even though Lakers tried various times to take back, I just didn't see really much of a fight in them, especially at your home court. It's not a good look, man. And listen, I was looking at that stream, man, and Lakers fans were just more worried about fucking Young Man and singing all these other songs and whatnot that they were having at the game. They weren't even focused on the game themselves, man. So hey, maybe that's the thing for Lakers fans. Lakers fans at the game got to show up and support more, you know? Because obviously, the Lakers fan base, they're strong. They're showing out at the cribs, right? But you got to make that energy be felt at the games. And I know this goes down to like the problem with like a lot of these areas, like for example, LA and crypto arena, right? The sort of type of people that show up. It's just people that want to show off, people that want to act mysterious. I mean, listen, as an avid Warriors fan, we're dealing with that ever since the move to Chase from Oracle. Like, we have that problem where we don't got the fan base really showing out like that no more. Like, long are the days from like back in 2016, like where everybody's with their playoff shirts and whatnot. Now, you got all these lame heads just trying to, resell and do it whatnot. So, it just kills and takes the fun out of the game. All for what? Like it's not even much profit that you're selling these shirts for. Like what, 200 or what not? I think another problem with that is you got these dumbass idiot buyers who are genuinely desperate to get these shirts. It's like, nah, man, you gotta not be about that. You can't give into it because then that just encourages them to keep going. But anyways, that's enough of me yapping and going off topic there. I'm kind of interested to see what the game has tonight. I'm gonna go catch it with one of my boys, and it should be a fun one. It's one of those things where I don't think this is a fluke. Like I don't think the Timberwolves are just gonna have this one game. I think it's gonna be a good back and forth. I think that seeing this momentum that the whole team has, it's one of those things where it's gonna. I seriously think this is gonna go all the way till Game 7 now, and even if anything, I think if this next game we see the Lakers still be in their own heads, I might even just pick the Timberwolves to really get the upset here, man. That's where I'm trying to lean at. I still think the Lakers will finish this out. It'll go to Game 7. We'll get it nice, but props to Minnesota because they exceeded my expectations for that. And so, moving on to the next game, we got to talk about this OKC versus Grizzlies game, y'all, because I'm gonna be honest. The Grizzlies are the polar bear in Arlington, Texas. Like, what are you doing in the playoffs, y'all? Y'all should not be here. You should not be here, man. Let's get into this, man, because the number one Thunder obliterated the Grizzlies in OKC, showcasing why they're championship favorites, currently at plus 170 odds, with a 51-point blowout, the fifth largest margin in NBA playoff history. Despite Shea scoring only 15 points, the Thunder's depth shined, with Williams, Wiggins, and Holmgren leading a balanced attack. 6 players in double figures, which Memphis, led by Ja Blicky Morant, couldn't keep pace, bro. crumbling under OKC's relentless offense. They went 50.5% field goal in inch defense, forcing 22 turnovers and limiting the Grizzlies to a 34.4% shooting. The game underscored the gap between the top seeded Thunder and the Grizzly team that, let's be real, they barely secured the 8th seed, man, via the play in. I mean, when you look at some of these stats, man, you obviously got Jalen Williams with 20, Wiggins 21, Chet Holmgren with 19, and Shea with only 15. You know, free throw merchant is he didn't get to do his thing in this game, but that's okay because when you have a star-studded offense with good players around, just like the OKC, it's okay to have a game where Shea can take a little step back. Might not have to rely on getting those free throws, man. And shout out to the rest of the boys. Shout out Duke Dennis for pulling up with that 20 points, man. If you know, you know. And with the Grizzlies, man, it just wasn't enough. Ja with 17, Marvin Bagley with 17, Desmond Bain only had 9 points. Jaren Jackson 4. Just overall quite a disappointing experience for them, man. Nothing compared to that Warriors game. And that's just what comes with this, bro. It really does come down to that. And I guess another question is OKC unstoppable? Because they're playing nice. That was a really, really strong start to honestly set the momentum, man. You already got, I feel like, Memphis in their heads thinking like, we're just happy to be here. Like, we're not trying to do anything serious with it. Um, like 6 players in the double figures. There's a reason why they're the Western Conference favorites. And uh, I mean, I guess like the other question you could pose is, was it an off night for the Grizzlies? But then if this was an off night for the Grizzlies, what is a good day gonna look like against this OKC team? Because that's a huge margin, man. And the odds for this next game aren't looking that much better. Like what I really meant, like they really are the polar bear here in Arlington, Texas. There's not much going on there. And I really it's gonna be hard for me to see Memphis getting a win here at all. One, I only give them one win tops, and that's like being generous. I think OKC's really gonna like shut this down, and unless they have a fluke, because listen, they've had that before. Like think back to the like end of the season, you know, getting blown out as they did with the Lakers, and then coming back. But let's kind of flip that around a little bit. Maybe that was what they needed, right? Having that blowout loss to the Lakers was sort of that wake up call, and it happening at the right time. And so, kind of getting that wake up call then going into the playoffs, now they're, in a sense, like they're sharpened, right? And I guess another thing that I'm kind of like worried about is if the OKC really does clean sweep here, how does that affect going later into the like playoffs, right? Later into the rounds. Are they going to get complacent because it might get to a point where this matchup might be so easy, they might just take a step back and kind of glide by, and then they'll get that humble awakening later on in the rounds as you go further into the NBA playoffs. But that's just sort of my sort of 2 cents looking into this game. I'd be shocked if Memphis, really gets 2 wins here. One is the most, and I don't know if it'll be game 2. Maybe a game 3 they can get a win there, but yeah, it's I like OKC, man. Clearly they're locked in for the playoffs, and honestly that has yet to be seen. I like their momentum. Let's see if they can keep going with this momentum going forward. But moving on, let's get into the game that I personally was the most stoked about, and that is my Warriors, man. Game 1 versus the Rockets on Sunday. Let me tell y'all something, man. Like, heading into this game, it was pretty nice, man. One of my boys going into this game was like, I don't see us winning this first game. Like, I think most fans, or like at least a good amount that I was talking to, right? They didn't have us winning this first game. Not me though. Nah, I was optimistic. I said, let's get this game one out. Let's carry and let's set the tone for what this is. Kind of what I going back to last week, and honestly, let me just get into some of these summary, bro. Like the playoff experience, man. The Warriors, even though they're the seventh seed, they do have that playoff experience, and they outplay the number two Rockets. Inexperienced, first time in the playoffs, young guys. With Curry's 31-point performance, if I remember correctly, a certain somebody said he was only going to score 3 points. Where is he at? He didn't show up today. He didn't want the smoke. That's all. That should tell y'all everything y'all need to know. Who's ducking? Who? The people that got the most to say, they not here, man. And unfortunately, he ran. He didn't want the smoke today. This was honestly beautiful for Steph, a shooting clinic, as if you will, with efficient shooting, 12 for 19 on the free throw and just field goal, and then 5 for 9 on 3 point, and key players at the rim, and then playoff Jimmy, just being a good all around guy, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 steals. Honestly, like playoff Jimmy, man. Thank you for coming in and saving our franchise, man. It was amazing to see. And gotta give credit. The Rockets defense held up, but their offense, man, just wasn't going anywhere with it. It's and this all goes back to, listen, the Rockets just are very inexperienced here. You got a young core. Dylan Brooks is really your only guy that could have playoff experience, but it's Dylan Brooks. Like when it comes to playoffs, you're not looking at Dylan Brooks as that guy. You know, he's a good player, but this is playoffs, man. You got Steph, you got Dre, you got Jimmy, you got Moses Moody, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, come on. Like, Sengun was leading, but the team was shooting just poorly overall. 39.1% in field goal, but 20.7% three pointer. I like this game, man. And we kept a nice lead throughout the majority of the game. Little 13-point halftime lead. And, that did kind of slow down. There was a point in the fourth that we did have a little bit of a close game. It was about four was like the closest lead we had, like a 4-point game, 3-point game. But overall, I did like the camaraderie. I did like what we were doing. And let's get into let's just look at these scores, bro. You got Steph with 31, Jimmy with 25, Pods with 14. Pods definitely did take a step back, but it's okay, man. And I think overall he has some nice games, now some nice little shots in there that I feel like really helped us in just maintaining momentum. So he came in when he needed to, and I still think he's got he's got more in him. He can have a better game for sure, 100%. And we'll probably need him to step up, obviously, because obviously you can't have Steph always being Steph all the time, man. You gotta have all these other role players, but you got Moses Moody doing clamps on the defense, man. That's what we love to see. And Draymond didn't get no tech. He did not get a tech this game, and I love that. Love that. And I think one of the things going into this game, or just in general, right, is can experience trump youth. I understand, and I've personally seen on the internet a lot of black on my Warriors talking about, oh, they're the seventh seed. But this ain't no traditional seventh seed, man. These are the Golden freaking State Warriors, man. You got a star studded offense. You got Steph Curry, AirPods. I was going to say Kaminga. Moses Moody, and Jimmy Buckets, Draymond Green. Post was also doing nice too. I mean, he's low key taking a step back. He's had a little bit of a slump, and he's a rookie. But I think it's just one of those things where it's all about momentum. He might fall off a little bit, but I think he'll still be able to pick back up. And he's been really a really solid addition. And I think with this core right now and with this lineup, we have a chance, bro. I really think we're gonna finish this out and we're gonna come up on top. And I think you got to put it this way: Golden State might not be your typical seventh seed, but the Rockets aren't your typical second seed either, man. Inexperience, man, and it really showed. And another thing that I have to say is, like, do you really think they're gonna be able to adjust given that lack of inexperience? Because this Golden State's been here a lot, so they've seen a lot. And for the Rockets to be able to adapt and adjust in real time that fast, I don't think so. I think you need another guy. Maybe add like a maybe trade for like a Kevin Durant. Add him in the offseason, man. I think that could really help out big time for the Rockets. Having an older presence in there, somebody who, obviously been in the playoffs, has won before, and can bring sort of that mindset and that championship pedigree. Cause having somebody like Dylan Brooks as a vet isn't gonna be the guy. Like that's not him. Like you go for his playmaking ability, but you don't really go for leadership or anything like that. And then Jalen Green, I feel like it just isn't. It just hasn't been cooking, man. And I don't know if he realizes it, but low key, this I feel like this playoff series is really gonna like make or break or determine his future, right, in Houston. So heading into game two, I think it's a big must that one Houston they need to change their lineups, bro, because the current lineup just wasn't doing good. Sangoon will have to just step up more, and you got to get better at offense. You got to get more consistent shots up there. That's the thing with what you're dealing with the Warriors, man. Is the 3 point shooting game. Is you're gonna have to make up for that, and with Jimmy buckets in the game, even just cutting that out isn't gonna really help because we got other guys open. We can make buckets anywhere now, and with playoff Jimmy in the helm, I don't really see the Rockets really going anywhere with this. But that's that's sort of what I think. I still think the Warriors will finish it out. Probably in like game five, game six is where I see this heading into, Warriors coming out on top. But that was a really nice surprise there. That was a great way to honestly end off the day, man. We was just, having a good time out in the beautiful Santa Cruz Mountains, just enjoying life, man, hanging out with some friends, and then to go and have that Warriors dub go the way it did, man. It just made everything that much sweeter, man. That's the beauty about sports, is things can be going great, things can going bad, but when your team wins, everything just becomes that much better, man. And so let's move on to some of the more recent games. Starting off with the Pistons and Knicks, man. Listen, game one was obviously something. You had the Knicks having a pretty solid game, man. You had Cat with the little, doing the little Celia towards the end, right? But unfortunately, Detroit had something. They came back and they had something to say because now it's tied at 1-1, bro. And this is the first playoff win for Detroit since 2008, ending a 15-game playoff losing streak. Cade freaking Cunningham, 33 points, 12 rebound performance was dominant, exploiting the Knicks' defensive focus on Brunson and Cat off night with 10 points, 0 out of 2 and 3-point in the second half, which Detroit squandered a 15-point lead but held on, capitalizing on their transition game. Second in the fast break points during the regular season, and the Knicks, despite Brunson's 37 points, showed vulnerability, with their shooting just being at 39.8% and rebounding 34-48, unable to match Detroit's intensity, which I gotta say, man, wasn't a great game for Cat. Very silent in the fourth quarter, and I think two things can be said here, right? The Knicks, kind of like what we mentioned a couple episodes ago, could be on fraud watch, right? This was sort of the thing that we mentioned. It's like you play against very great teams, but you capitalize your wins off the ones that aren't so great, and I think it's showing. It's also showing, Tom Thibodeau's reluctance to, really play other guys, really spice the game up with adjustments. He's going to play his guys and really tire the shit out of them. And I think at this point in the stage, you got to be smart with game management, obviously, right? And leading up, making sure your guys are rested, making sure you got everybody involved, scheming the way you're supposed to correctly, and um, it's showing. And another thing you got to keep in mind is Detroit is credit to where it's due. They are nice. Cade Cunningham is really turning out to be the next one. Detroit might have gotten their guy in Cade Cunningham because he's clearly seeming to, just based off this performance, seeming to be a superstar, really. And, you know, regardless of how this series goes, I think one thing's for certain for Detroit is you got yourself a guy in Cade Cunningham. And I think it's only right that you build around him. This is something that I heard Jeff Teague talk about. And he brings up a really good point, right? You don't really need like another superstar like that. Maybe you do, but I would say keep Cade Cunningham as the focus, right? And build around him. Find guys that really complements him. And I think this Detroit team can be really scary. Now, we have yet to see how this is going to go for game 3, but I think overall guys did pretty well with obviously Cade going 33 points, Tobias Harris 15, Dennis Schroeder for 20, and Jalen Duren for 12. And obviously for the Knicks, not really the best. You know, Brunson really was the only highlight with 37. Mikal Bridges with 19 points, and Cat with a low 10, and OJ Anunoby with 10 points. Which, listen, y'all, I guess you would think bringing Sonny Lee twice would help, but unfortunately for Sonny Lee, uh, OG just couldn't lock in for this game, man. Maybe next time though, or maybe we switch things up. You know what I'm saying? Bring another celeb in there. Um, or maybe this stuff really only works with Jordan Poole, even though that one kind of broke. As an avid Warriors fan, that's what we would always used to say is, hey, let's just get somebody in here for Jordan Poole to lock in, man. But nah, not really like that, you know? Not really. Another thing is, man, Cat was just it was just not a good day for him, man. He was really struggling to get points in the paint, man, and even just having to drive by people such as Tobias Harris and what's it called? Like, and it's no shade to the guys like Tobias Harris, right? And some of these other guys, but or Durant, but Cat is an all-star, right? So you expect Cat to play like an all-star at all times. And so I think that's one of those things that you honestly got to ask yourself, right? Is can the Pistons sustain it, and is this seemingly going to confirm what we all thought with the Knicks being frauds? At least certainly what I'm thinking and leaning towards. Because as much as they were really strong heading into the playoffs, I still thought they were the one team that was probably going to break, you know? Just kind of calling it for what it was. I like Detroit being that underdog, that dark horse, who's really going to put up a good fight. And I can really see them, pulling out of this series, but that has yet to be seen. Obviously, I still think the Knicks can finish it, but if they do lose this series, man, it's going to get real loud in New York. Think about all the investment that you put on this team, how much you're paying guys on this roster currently. And if it's someone like a Tom Thibodeau, being the hard ass that he is, he cannot do it, I think he's going to be out of town, man. I think they're going to ship him out of town. Maybe get a guy like Mike Malone in there. Listen, I wasn't really high on it, but listen, I like tuning into all these other pods, kind of seeing what other guys are saying, and bring up a good point. Like Mike Malone could probably get the best out of these guys, man. I think that's a good shot. That's a good landing spot for him, and obviously this has yet to be seen. Obviously, we gotta see how the rest of the series plays out. But that's something I would say. You know what? I do like that. I like that narrative, man, and I would support it because the transition game and the youth on the Pistons, bro. It's kind of it's honestly got these Knicks scratching their heads and really honestly shitting the bed. But I guess that is something that we'll have to see for game three. So let's pivot away from that game and into another exciting game, and that is the Clippers versus the Nuggets. Game two, man. Listen, that game one was something. I'll tell you what. One of like my homies, right? He's got a friend of his who's an avid Nuggets fan, and he's a very pessimistic guy because he's like, even after that game one win, he was still saying like, you got to watch out for this Clippers team because this Clippers team is on a hot streak, which honestly, with the way they played against the Warriors finishing off the season, I would say, yeah, I don't blame you guys. That's absolutely valid. And we saw why he's so pessimistic because that game really showcased we got Claw back in town, boys. We really do. You know, Raptors Claw is here, and all I'm saying is that one doctor who worked on Kawhi's knees, he is taking a victory lap right now. I can tell you that for sure. But let's get into this, man, because the number five Clippers even the series out 1-1 with Denver, overcoming a tightly contested game down to the buzzer, man. Kawhi's hyper efficient 39.9 night with a 15 for 9 field goal and 4 for 7 on a 3 point was the difference, shooting nearly automatic to outduel Jokic's 19th playoff triple double, 26 points, 12 rebound, and 10 assist game. With the Nuggets missing a crucial three pointers late, allowing the Clippers to steal the home court advantage. This game highlighted the series' competitiveness with both teams' depth and star power, making it a coin flip matchup, though Denver's 20 turnovers ended up proving them costly, man. Which, when you look at some of these stats, right, Kawhi going for 39 points, James Harden going for 18, Ivica Zubac going for 16, Norman Powell going for 13, and the team shooting for overall 46.2% and then 40% on three pointer with 32 rebounds and 11 turnovers. So, turnovers aren't great, but obviously it doesn't help when you look at a Nuggets team stat line of 43 rebounds but 20 turnovers, man, proving very costly for them. And even though they did shoot nice with the 45.5%, and then obviously as well as 40% on the three pointer, very similar to the Nuggets, it's just that turnovers, man, just turn costly. And when you got Claw playing the way he is, really the only thing you could say is this was cinema, man. This was truly cinema. One of the most exciting games out there, man. Absolutely caught me on the edge of my seat. And I really thought that we have a series here. Like, we really do. You know, and I think this begs the question, right? If the Clippers can beat the Nuggets, I think we're gonna have to start having that conversation about the Clippers being a serious contender at showcasing and representing the West in the finals. You know, because I thought it was gonna go either way. Like maybe with the Nuggets pulling through, but obviously you got to keep in mind, right? Nuggets don't have a head coach, so Jokic is the coach, right? And not having a coach in the playoffs is really gonna pay. It's gonna really show, right? And you saw that with Memphis, and maybe we can start to see cracks of it starting to slip up with a star-studded team such as the Nuggets, because the Clippers, man, have not are not joking around. They're not playing around. Obviously, you got Harden showing up for the playoffs, Kawhi, a healthy Kawhi at that. So, man, I think this game is gonna go to a game seven. I really do. This is one of the closest series, probably the closest series that we'll get overall. And so for that reason, I think it's gonna go to a game seven. And some adjustments is you're gonna have to take Claw out of the game, man. As the Nuggets, you're gonna have to find a way to scheme him out, and that's gonna be difficult, right? Because now you got to pick your poison. We saw two outstanding performances recently with Kawhi obviously in this game, and then obviously for me, the Warriors fan, seeing James Harden kind of tear us up during that final game. And so you got to choose one or the other, man. And they're both playing at their absolutely best. That's why I said this series is really cinema, man. Like, you got to really enjoy this series for what it is because who knows if we'll get this playoff claw, like, again, man. You never know. I'm just happy that we got a healthy claw because as much as I hate it as a Warriors fan, I think it's great for the game. Obviously, when you got a team like Memphis, playing like they should not even be here, man. It's nice to know that you got a game like the Clippers, right, and the Nuggets, really showcasing that playoff intensity, just that playoff matchup game, right? That playoff environment. And so I believe that I could really see that the Clippers edge this one off, maybe on a game 6, game 7. Um, but it has yet to see, right? Can the Nuggets bounce back, or will they continue to slip? Because clearly you're gonna need to play your A game. You got to play perfect. It's just there's no brainer there. And if the Nuggets do, obviously lose out of the first round, I think that's going to bring about a ton of questions heading into the off season regarding that roster, knowing that locker room right now it's on fire. Like you hear the reports of all the fallout and whatnot, you can see it kind of like catching up to them. So, how much of that can they put off to the side before it really starts infiltrating and really just causing them to crash and burn? But I think that is going to be enough of, our recap. I think to sort of end this off the pod, let's go over some quick NBA news around the league that I did here, starting with Nico Harrison. I know it's like every other day or every day we hear something else about Nico Harrison just opening his mouth and just honestly saying some dumbass shit, really, we being straight honest. Talking about, yeah, I knew Luca meant a lot. I mean, he meant something to the fans. I just didn't know to what extent. It's like, really? You don't say? And it's like, I remember seeing on TNT, right? Shaq did say something. He's like, Nico's trying to be liked here. I'm like, I could kind of see it. Like, if anything, I think it's just better if Nico just doesn't speak, man. Like, don't let him near a mic because it's like every time he opens his mouth and he says something, it's like he's just directly stabbing the Mavs fans right in the heart, man. And so that is tough, you know. And another thing is Jason Kidd, that coach over there, he doesn't get enough credit, man, because he's had to put up with a lot of bullshit, man. From now, regardless of whether the Luka trade was, a decision that was made by the front office, like the upper management, the owners, or if that was a Nico Harrison thing, has yet to be foreseen. All I gotta say is, I believe it's ownership, dog. I think it's ownership, like, because there's no way you're Nico Harrison and you still have your job doing that trade if it wasn't by upper management. And then there's a report saying like, oh, upper management like was like mad about it, or like Nico didn't tell the upper management. They were shocked by how the response was going to be. Like, no fucking shit, man. Like, a lot of these owners, these new owners coming into the team, like, they must really think like, oh, if I buy an NBA franchise, like, I'm gonna make a shit ton of money, not realizing like you gotta know what you're doing, or if you don't know what you're doing, hire people that know. You know, like you see with the Dallas Cowboys, fucking Jerry Jones. That's his baby, man. He's gonna make the decisions, man, and he doesn't give a fuck about winning. He doesn't. He cares about being the GM and feeling power. That's what he loves. You can see it. It's a whole psychological thing, man. He would rather be the one making the picks, making the flashiest picks, and he goes about it as a business approach. Like, and that's the thing with Jerry Jones is like, it's a little bit of an exception because you can hate on him all you want about how shitty the Dallas Cowboys are. He's a businessman. He knows how to make his money. Now with the Dallas Mavericks, on the other hand, that's just straight stupidity, bro. Like that's where you go with. and I understand why so much of the fan base believe like this is a move to try and get them to shift over and move into the Vegas market. Which one? I think that's suicide, man. That really is. Like, who the fuck are you gonna go? Was gonna go to the Vegas games if you got nobody showing up to the ones in Dallas because you have no stars? Like, who did you think people were gonna show and go and watch? Like, people go to the games to watch Luca. That's what they were going for. And then when you have on top of that a Kyrie and well, before AD, but Clay, but Luca was the franchise. You know, Kyrie and Clay are, I would say, on the back half of their career. They're older guys, right? I think that's a better word to say. I want to say back half, but they're older players. Luca's a young guy, and I just don't know how the Lakers keep winning, bro. Like, shit, it makes sense why they extended Rob Pelinka. Like, Nico Harrison is out here changing people's lives, man. Getting getting Rob Palinka that nice little paycheck extension, like you can't even hate on it. It's like when you got Dumb and Dumber via the GM and the owner on the Mavs going about their business the way they are, like somebody's gonna eat, and I guess the Lakers are. Now, obviously, we talked about that matchup against Timberwolves, so that yeah has to be seen. We need Luca to clamp up, play some defense, but oh, and then Nico's talking about defense wins championships, losing the way they did to in the play-in, and then obviously talking about why he should keep his job. You know, watch us, guys. We're gonna be in the champion when we're in the finals game next year. Like y'all will see. Like what the fuck you mean y'all will see? Like your stars and you can't keep healthy. They can't stay on the court. Like forget Luca and all this weight issues. Like and then some of the other dirty business shit that Nico is doing. Like I don't know if this dude was spawned from the devil or if he did some fucking ritual or somebody possessed him. But the more I hear about this guy, it's like, how did he land this job? Like, seriously. I get he worked with Kobe and whatnot. He had a relationship with Kobe. But shit, sometimes you gotta look past the relationships and you gotta look at the qualifications. You gotta look at how this guy's vision is gonna impact the team, you know. But hey, man, I'm not a Mavs fan, so I don't gotta worry about it. To my Mavs fans out there, I feel for y'all, man. Best I can tell y'all is pray or hold your breath or just go it is what it is, man. I don't know how many of those you have left in you, but I think that's just the best bet you can really do, man. That's the best thing you can do. And with that being said, I do know I guess what there was a new coach hiring in Atlanta, not Atlanta, but with the Pelicans. And the only thing I wanna touch upon that is Zion is out of New Orleans. Like that's gotta happen, man. They gotta fully reset. They got a full rebuild. You know, take Mickey D, Zion, Mariah Mills out of there, and yeah, I don't know what types of trade capital they'll get because obviously he's the guy that I don't think people are gonna be lining up to try and get. You know, even as much as we've seen how great he can be, it's about staying healthy on the court. It's about being committed to the game and being committed to your diet, right? I think those are real issues right there. Not that's a bigger issue, more serious issue than what it was with Luca. I'm just saying, like, if anything, Nico Harrison was trying to paint Luca in the way that Zion actually is. You know what I'm saying? And so that one's gonna be a valid trade. You know, so we'll see where Zion lands, man. Maybe you trade him out, you bring somebody like KD in. You never know. Are the Mavs gonna try and trade for or try and get KD into their roster? Get all veteran guys? I think that has yet to be seen, man. But anyways, with all that being said, I think we're gonna wrap up this recap episode pod. Be sure to be on the lookout because we got some NBA drafts, not NBA, NFL draft stuff coming up because the draft is this Thursday, man. And y'all know I'm always hyped for that. We're gonna have some guests on talking about some really juicy draft insight. Guys who have worked alongside with some of these prospects, have seen these prospects in the flesh, man. So if you guys are excited for that, like I said, make sure to like and subscribe, share it, and comment your thoughts below. What do you guys think about these upcoming matchups? Who do you guys think is going to end up on top? What are some adjustments you guys want to see? Or you guys got any spicy takes? Anything you guys disagreed with what I said? And let me know your comments down below. With that being said, this is your host EJ from Dudes Talk Sports signing off. Peace.